Hello and welcome to this short video on showing you how to build a H5P interactive book. In a previous video we looked at the resource itself and how it's set up, but this one will focus primarily on how to build one from scratch. So I'm in Moodle and I've got editing mode on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add Activity or Resource. Here at University of Portsmouth we're currently on Moodle 4. So this is what our menus look like, but if you're on a slightly different version of Moodle, it might look different to you. But I'm going to go ahead and click on Interactive Content. And what we want to choose is, as I said in the previous video, H5P is a suite of lots of different activities, and I certainly recommend that you, if you've got some time, go through and have a look, because there might be some other ones that are suitable for you. And you're teaching, but for this one, I'm going to look at interactive book. So once I click on that, I get this editing menu. Now, straight off the bat, I'm going to click Enter Full Screen, and it just makes adding pages and things like that a little bit more easier. The screen displays a bit more nicely. So we're going to build that ALS pediatric video. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every single chapter, but I'm going to build a couple of chapters and some interactions just so that you get used to it, so to speak. So in here, I'm going to put ALS pediatric. So that's the title for the whole resource. And then each chapter, or column, as it's called here, has its own chapter. So first of all, we're going to do the introduction. And what I want to do here is, so here's the content. And so the great thing about this book is that you can pull in any of the different resources within H5P into this book. Like I said before, it's really good. It's a really good way of structuring content and making your resources really engaging and interactive for students. So they're not just reading things or watching videos. They've got questions to answer or links to go and look at and things like that. So yeah, I'm a real champion of this, and I think it's a really, really good way, especially, you know, the lessons that we learned through lockdown were that students want meaningful online experiences. So by spending a little bit of time creating these resources, I think you'll get some really good student feedback at the end of the module or the course. So what we want to do here is we want to look for interactive video, and that will spin around in a minute, and then we'll select our video. So again, we're going to just call this introduction, just to make sure everything's on the same page, so we don't get confused. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just quickly find my introduction. I only shot one introduction, so that one sits in my adult video, but that's nothing to worry about. Oh, there we go. So what I do here is I click on that hashed line. Now you can upload a file from your computer. I wouldn't recommend that unless you have already added the subtitles or captions to that video. You can embed from YouTube if you want, but here at Portsmouth University, we're going to embed from Panopto. So that's our content capture system and storage facility, basically. So we're going to embed from there. So we can give it a label if we want to. At this point, we're not going to. Then you can add some interactions. So that's the next step. So you can see a preview of the video, and at any point you can kind of scroll and make your interaction. So I'm going to, in the real thing, there's a bit of text at the end. So I'm going to sort of replicate that in this demonstration. So you can see at the top, you've got all of these different choices. You can have a label, text, table, you know, put a link in, put an image in if you want to, some statements. Then here come the different types of questions. And I'm actually quite impressed with the different varieties that you can choose from. So you've got obviously multiple choice, but you've got true, false, fill in the blanks, drag and drop, mark the words, drag the words, and so on and so forth. So you can be quite creative here if you wanted to be, but for the purposes of this, we're just going to stick to kind of multiple choice and text boxes as well. So in this particular video, I'm just going to add a text box. So you can look at this display time. So what will happen is if you drag that playhead up to the point you want it to appear, that's where it'll appear, and that's where how long it'll appear until. You can choose to pause the video or not. It really depends on the interaction you're trying to add. If it's just something small that you want the students to kind of be aware of but not disrupt the flow of that video, then you don't have to pause it. But if it is something quite important, you might want the video to pause so they are forced to click on that object. You can display it as a button or a poster. I think that just means the poster is expanded, so it will take up a bit more of the screen. But for neatness, I'm just going to use this button. So the label is sort of the text that first appears. So you don't want to have lots of writing on this bit. You might just put important info on there. And then in here, if it was the text, you would type make sure to adhere to the guidance lecture, something like that. And then we click done. So then that now appears. Now you can drag that to wherever you want in the page. I'm going to put it just over here, just to the side, so it's obvious that's where it is. The third step, you could add a summary task or a summary video if you wanted to. I haven't really played around with that bit too much, so I'm going to leave that. But that's certainly something to look into if that interests you. You can obviously give scores and things. Now we've set up this resource purely as a knowledge checker. It doesn't form any part of assessment, formative or summative. So this is just a knowledge checker and a learning resource for the students. But you could easily turn it into an assessment type resource if you wanted to. You can continue to add content on this page, and you can go down quite far. We're just having the one video at the top, but best practice, I would say certainly no more than 3 interactions on 3 types of content on one page. Otherwise, the student will have to scroll down, and they're likely to disengage. But on this example, we're going to just have one type of content on this page. So that's the introduction. Once we're ready for that one, we can click Add Page, and we can go to the next one. So this one is called Initial Approach, and I'm just going to quickly find my video for this. There we go. So we're just going to quickly grab that link there. And then again, we're going to go to interactive video, and we're going to call this again Initial Approach. And we're going to add that video, and like I said, we're just going to grab that video in there. Then we're going to add an interaction. So what I'm going to do is skip forward here. So it was about this point on the real thing that the question appeared. So I'm going to choose multiple choice, and we're going to get it to pause as well. I'm not sure I want it to appear for 10 seconds. So what I'm going to do is just make that appear for 5 seconds. They're going to pause it anyway. So again, this is the label. So you don't have to put the whole question in there. So what we're going to say, whose FD are used for so we'll copy that into the question, So by default, you only get 2 options, but you can add more if you wish. So I'm going to add another one here. And so this is the correct one. So I'm going to tick this correct box. Okay. And again, we can give a score range if we want. But like I said before, this is purely for kind of learning, knowledge checker type stuff. So we're just going to click done. So we're ready with that. So again, I can place this question wherever I want. So I'm going to put it there. And then, so that's basically it. And you repeat that process with that however many chapters you need. So let's just proceed to save. You can obviously have different settings. Again, I'm not going to go through the settings because we just want the default settings for this at the moment. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Save and Display. So here we go. This is the resource that we've built. So we've got the 2 chapters over here, the introduction, and we can see that our link is displayed there nicely. And it's appeared up there. I might need to go and change that position. And then we've got our question here, and our question appears nicely. So that's all worked. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time. Thanks a lot.